Board meeting for August 9th, 2021. Please rise and salute the flag. One nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Councilman O'Neill.
Here.
Councilman Johnson.
Here.
Councilman Fazio.
Here.
Deputy Supervisor Walter.
Here. I need a motion to accept the minutes from July 12th, 2021. The only one I was worried about, David, was resolution 96 about that Ferris motor. Should that be taken out first?
No, that's in there.
Okay.
Second.
All in favor?
I'd like to now open the floor to the public for any comments regarding tonight's agenda. Why don't you please state your name and
Chamber, are we for, I see you're cutting checks tonight for the occupancy tax, are we on there to get our check?
you've already been approved. In fact, I was gonna bring it up tonight that when Colleen writes checks tomorrow, we will cut the check for
Okay,
what you need. That's correct, right, David? We have approved
You're
her.
approved in prior legislation.
Yeah, so we just gotta go through
okay,
and justify which ones are accurate.
They were just waiting for your bills, which they received.
I have her bills.
Yep.
yeah, he has all that, so, yeah.
I just want to make sure that what you put in for was actually for putting,
Yeah.
people in beds. That's the important thing.
Yeah.
We can't pay for your phone bill,
No,
your mailings and stuff like that. We're just gonna go through and write the appropriate amount.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, we have everything in there, we'll cover the scholarship, that's the only thing. But speaking of that, the Little League's in there to get money, how does that bring people in the community?
They put a lot of people in the camp. They put 2 teams in the campsites out here.
Oh, do they?
Yeah.
Okay.
When they have that big Kelly tournament, they
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
ungodly amount of teams come and stay. I can't even tell you how many teams there are. Maybe Fred or Rail could speak to that a little bit, but it's a real large amount of people that come and stay. I don't even.
Well, that's the thing, I didn't realize that, so I
Yeah, so they do, yeah.
Okay, all right, thank you.
You're welcome. Anyone else?
Donna Kildon.
Donna.
I just have a question on resolution 126. What is it that you're terminating benefits for?
It is the, Dave, maybe you could explain it better. It's the Part B.
Resolution 17 of 2000. I'm going to speak up a little bit, folks, because someone in the audience has asked me to speak up for his father, because it's a little hard to hear it. So please excuse me for raising my voice. Resolution 17 of 2000, can you hear me? 2007 was passed. And there's really not much in the record. Other than, I'll read the following. It's just a paragraph. This was passed in 2007. So resolved upon a motion by Councilman McLean, seconded by Councilman Waterhouse, to adopt a health insurance plan, which includes Medicare, supplement, PPO with reimbursement of Part B costs for retirees, including any applicable penalties. I'm going to do the roll call. Okay. In consultation with the New York State Controller's Office, it was determined that a number of folks receiving this benefit were not retirees of the town. They were spouses of the town. Legislation does not approve that. It's not authorized payment of those medical costs for spouses. So this piece of legislation they're voting on tonight terminates those payments to those people who are not retirees of the town.
Okay.
Okay.
I understand. I also have another question. Why, what is the reason for hiring a deputy attorney? Just
In the next 18 to 24 months, we're doing the master plan over again, which takes a lot of their time. We're doing the E-code, which takes basically all of everything that the town has done over the past whatever years, and it puts it into a document where you can search it online.
Okay.
So if you're coming to town, you can get on the E-code and say, what can I do? And it'll point you around. Yeah, I mean, everything's zoning and,
Okay.
so it's gonna take a lot of time, and so we need a little assistance with that.
Okay.
Bringing the town up into the 21st century.
Okay.
Anyone else?
Yeah, Robert Field. I have a question. Here about hiring an assistant to the zoning enforcement officer. I had that job for 25 years. I didn't need an enforcement officer, an assistant. And I had issued a lot more permits than they're issuing now.
Yeah.
And issued a lot more violations.
Yeah.
So why do they need an assistant?
Well, we feel that, Karen isn't getting around really well.
That's not the town's problem.
Well, let me interject if I can.
If somebody isn't capable of doing the job, then you should hire somebody that is.
Well, I have to take issue with that statement because she's very capable. She's incredibly capable and probably one of the smartest planning and zoning people I've ever.
Then why does she need an assistant?
Give me a second, I'll explain. Karen only works 20 hours a week. As I recall, you work full time. Karen does not
I
work.
didn't necessarily work full time. I had several jobs for them.
Karen doesn't work full time. She only works up to 20 hours a week. So the assistant will be to work the other 20 hours, 10 to 20, to actually go out and write the tickets. Now, just so you know, currently this year, our number of applications for the town in terms of planning and zoning have increased significantly. In fact, the fees paid to the town, I think, have almost doubled, has it not, for this year? Her work is really exorbitant. It takes up much more than 20 hours a week, and she does work a lot more than
I
20.
fully understand that. I had a job for 25 years.
Well, due respect, things have changed a lot. There's a bigger population, there's a lot more people coming to the town, and a lot more applications. You're welcome to come in.
That's
Please don't
not
interrupt.
true.
Please don't interrupt. Let me finish and then I'll be happy to let you talk. But I'm not gonna have a heated exchange. You're welcome to come into the planning department, sit down and look at all the applications, look at the magnitude of the work that she does. I'm defending her because she's very high quality. And the town board thinks that they need someone, a deputy, to come in and write the tickets. So you're certainly welcome to oppose that, but it is the board's decision and discretion.
I would like to go back and look at the record to see the number of permits that I issued, the number of variances that we had back in those days, and compare it with what's going on today. Then you tell me you still need an assistant. Now, I had the zoning job, I did the water purification, I was town constable, I was a town health officer, and I don't know, several other jobs. And I did them all without an assistant.
Right. All that stuff is foilable, Bob. If you want that information, you do.
And I
But
look
we
at
have
all the
nothing
money-
to hide.
I look at all the money that's being spent here that I feel is not necessary. And then you're cutting benefits from the people that worked here all their life.
We didn't have any benefits for anybody who worked here all their lives. That legislation was very clear. And when we sat with controller, she was very stern about, they shouldn't be benefits and they should be repaid. And we just kind of ducked our heads and tried to leave the building.
How does the state do it? How does the other towns do it?
But she based on the legislation that we wrote that day. You and I were both there. We never said employees and their spouses. If that was in there, it would have been much different.
It wasn't in there. If you look, there's another resolution that states that. I don't know if you found it or not, but I can show it to you.
I have everything that the clerk has provided me, and if you had something else that you wanted to provide at this point, you certainly can, but currently we have nothing on record to support.
It's on record.
So
I can show you the resolution. I have a copy of it. You'd like to see it.
Yeah, absolutely, Bob. Absolutely.
But I don't.
We're just trying to protect our backsides from the state because they're looking at us hard right now.
So they should.
Absolutely.
Yes, they should. But yeah, if you have it, Bob, please bring it in.
I will.
Please.
Tomorrow.
I'll be here most of the day tomorrow. So.
and please call Clerk Sherwood with the resolution year and number so she can research and pull it out, because she did an exhaustive search and this is all we have.
Can I add to that?
Sure.
Dan, you've been here, what, 12, 14 years?
Yes.
As a deputy supervisor,
Not as a deputy, but on the board.
deputy for quite a few years. You've received these benefits all this time, correct?
I received health insurance. Yes, I have.
Does your wife?
Yes, she has.
Now why did the rest of the board not have these benefits?
When I came on, all board members had it.
Yeah, and that was maybe 8 years ago that changed, or it changed in Mr. Malik, probably 10 years ago. Or 12 years ago, correct?
I can't tell you the exact date on it.
Well, how did you keep receiving them? as a part-time board member. You've received these benefits right until probably today.
I think we're talking about retirements here, but.
Yeah, but no, we're talking about, he was talking about benefits too. You want to cut health benefits, but you, as a part-time employee that may work, what? You probably work maybe 4 or 6 hours a month before.
Deputy Supervisor, we're talking about legislation, not the agenda tonight, so if you want to.
Yeah, so let's-
Well, but what I want to bring up, and I'll leave this, is you seem to be okay with being grandfathered into this gorgeous.
I am not
benefit.
grandfathered in.
No, let me just finish. You were grandfathered into this gorgeous little benefit that most people would call a right arm off to receive. And you are now involved with chopping the seniors that can't go back to work. You're gung ho on taking benefits away from them. That's all I have to say.
Thank you.
Deputy Supervisor, I just want to be clear to the public that the New York State Council did review this resolution and pointed out to us very clearly that spouses were not included in this resolution, and it's an unlawful benefit being conferred on these folks. And they actually had conversations with me about trying to go back and collect the monies that were given away over the last several years. We're in that discussion right now, and I'm advocating not to do that. So that'll be up for discussion over the next couple of months. But this resolution is very clear. It does not cover spouses. Every piece of legislation prior to this in the history of the town that we looked at, and you sure would, include spouses. This one does not.
There is a resolution for that.
Anyone else? Rachel, oh, I'm sorry.
Rails and I have a question on resolution 120. Deputy attorney. Can you guys tell me how much the last county attorney?
I believe it's always been 36,000 meters.
What does our current
Same,
county attorney make a month?
3,000 home.
2,000 a month? We can't, like, if our current attorney can't do the job, can we put it out for bid to find one attorney that can do it? Because at the end of the day, which attorney is going to be responsible when something happens? Like, who's the lead attorney?
David,
You're gonna be the lead attorney?
There are 3 initiatives coming up that are going to require substantial time, which was not part of my job description with the town nor my predecessors. And this only occurs once every 10 years.
Sorry, I can't hear you. Could you speak up?
Sure
please?
can.
Thank you.
That's the consolidated plan update, which really should have been started 3 years ago, because you need an updated consolidated plan to get grant funding for the state. Right now, we're in year 11, and the state does not favorably look at towns with consolidated plans older than 10 years. So it takes traditionally 18 to 24 months to update a consolidated plan. That's not easy work for anybody.
Oh, I mean,
So
the pay.
you asked, let me finish my, let me finish, and then you can ask any questions you want. Second is the town wants to update the zoning to add, subtract, amend, modify, update the zoning, which hasn't been done in at least a decade to comply with the new consolidated plan. And the third is to implement the E-code electronic codification of all of the codes. So 3 major initiatives that are going to require a substantial amount of work. So I can't do it all myself. If you want to go out and try to find someone that will.
Is it typical for town boards?
I still can't hear you, sorry. You gotta reach the back of the room, sorry.
Is it typical for town boards of this size to have 2 town attorneys?
I'm sure if there's an overload of work, I'm sure there is.
Yeah, you're not having 2 town attorneys, and this interim position would be just to accommodate those 3 initiatives.
So it's gonna be hiring an intern deputy, like a temporary deputy attorney.
Well, I wouldn't call it a temporary, but in 2024, that position will go away. So you need someone in 22 and 23.
Are we getting a full-time deputy attorney or temporary?
You're getting a part-time,
Okay,
yes.
as long as it's
Yeah.
worded as a, it doesn't say a part-time, or it was just a little bit vague. That was all.
Okay, thanks.
Yes.
Rachel?
I just. Good evening. My name is Rachel Sieber. I'm the chairwoman of the Board of Supervisors. And last week I came to your agenda meeting and told you I would follow up regarding your contract with the snowmobile trail maintenance and equipment agreement for 2021. At that point in time, you had expressed perhaps extending the date of termination in the way the current contract is set up, and I told you I would look into that. I just wanted, regarding resolution 115 of 2021 tonight, to let you know that I did have an opportunity to speak with the chairman of the committee where this falls under at the county. He's prepared after your resolution passes tonight to ensure that it's on our agenda for August. It will happen, I think, August, let's say 22nd or 23rd. At that point in time, it will move to the full board, pass through committee, and the full board will vote on it in September. That would then allow your snowmobile club to contract directly with the county. Councilman Fazio, we spoke earlier today just to confirm that that would be the process. No funds have been expended to this date. And at that point in time, you could work with Tim Benway at Warren County to submit all the corresponding receipts. Are there any questions or anything further to do about that?
Thank you.
I just wanted to reassure you that that will be the process of that resolution.
Thank you.
Thank you. And great attendance. You don't have this many people at the county that are working. It's great.
Hi there, I missed the meeting last month. I was here in June. We're new to the
We
neighborhood.
just need a name, I'm sorry, an address.
Reno.
Okay.
I live at 64 Benar Lane. And it's about deeded beach rights on Lake Benar.
This isn't on tonight's agenda, so you really have to wait for the end of the meeting, and then it comes anything you want to talk about.
Thank you so much.
Okay, sorry.
I'm learning.
Yes, I'm sorry.
I'm here. And that's good.
Glad to see you come.
Yeah, I'm here.
Anyone else? Okay. I guess we'll go through the resolutions. please.
Resolution 109 of 2021, authorizing payment of monthly vouchers of the 8th abstract for August 2021 is filed in the office of the town clerk of Lake Luzerne. Resolution is introduced by Deputy Supervisor Waterhouse. Let me give you the numbers on that. General fund 27517 to 27582 in the amount of $27,949.26. The highway numbers 27583 to 27602, the amount of $88,715.48. Lake Luzerne water numbers 27603 to 27606, the amount of $1,229.80. Benson Grove water number 27607, in the amount of $75. Is there a second?
I'll second
Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried 4-0. Resolution 110 of 2021. Resolution authorizing budget amendments for August 2021, introduced by Deputy Supervisor Waterhouse. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Fazio. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried 4-0. Resolution 111 of 2021, resolution accepting funds received from the American Rescue Act in the amount of $165,477.74. Resolution is introduced by Deputy Supervisor Waterhouse. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Councilman Lewandowski. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none. Carried 4-0. Resolution 112 of 2021, resolution authorizing the purchase of 2 new Face Pro IRT facial recognition time clocks with temperature detection. Introduced by Councilman O'Neill. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Councilman Lewandowski. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried 4-0. Resolution 113 of 2021. Resolution authorizing execution of the memorandum of understanding between the Town of Lake Luzerne and Warren County Soil and Water Conservation District. Resolution is introduced by Councilman O'Neill. Is there a second? Second by Councilman Fazio. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried 4-0. Resolution 114 of 2021, resolution approving and authorizing the execution of the Warren County roadway maintenance agreement for 2022. Introduced by Deputy Supervisor Waterhouse. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Councilman O'Neill. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried 4-0. Resolution 115 of 2021. Resolution acknowledging receipt of the letter from the Warren County Attorney terminating the snowmobile trail maintenance and the equipment agreement for 2021 between Warren County and the Town of Lake Luzerne effective October 1, 2021, or upon Warren County Board of Supervisors approval of a direct contract between Warren County and the South Warren Snowmobile Club. Introduced by Councilman Fazio. Is there a second?
Second.
Councilman Lewandowski, second. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried 4-0. Resolution 116 of 2021, resolution authorizing Deputy Supervisor Waterhouse to execute contract with Hudson Headwaters for the mobile health unit. Introduced by Deputy Supervisor Waterhouse. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Councilman O'Neill, discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried 4-0. Resolution 117 of 2021, authorizing purchase of propane fuel and heating oil for the 21-22 heating season. Introduced by Councilman Lewandowski. Is there a second? Councilman Fazio. Discussion?
Deputy Supervisor. The bids that we put out for the heating, fuel, and propane, no one responded. So substitute for the failure of other companies to respond, you are lawfully allowed to go through the state contract, the Office of Government Services, OGS, for the purchase of fuel. Those are contracts that have already been solicited to the public and bid upon. And there are 4 or 5 different providers on there that sell propane and heating fuel. And the service provider that the town has, I believe, GAO, they are on the state contract. And I believe the terms of that contract is spot price plus 35 cents per gallon.
No, their tanks are here anyway. So we have to make a motion to go with GAO or,
No, you can go off any one of the state contractors, they're all approved.
okay,
You just have to move forward with the agreement to pass a resolution to purchase fuel. And then you can select, they're all gonna give you the same deal on the state contract.
I guess our big obstacle here is that the fact that the tanks are buried in the ground.
some of them are.
We don't know, but that's. So we're kind of handcuffed as far as that goes, because if there's propane in those tanks, they charge you a restocking fee and all that stuff. So we're during a tank, I'm not sure who approved or decided to have them bury them, but that really handcuffs you in the bid process, in my opinion. I don't think that's something that we really should do in the future. You know, it needs to be objective. If we want to go for the best price, get the tank out, put the other one in, not have to bring in an excavator or whatever it is to dig them up and get them out of there. It's not-
Or just purchaser, okay.
The current contract the town had expired this year was a 5-year contract with GA Gold that went through the bidding process 5 years ago. That has expired. And I guess part of that contract was to install the tanks, and the tanks that were installed at the town hall, I guess, were installed in the ground. So GA Gold does have that, I guess you could call it a competitive advantage going forward. So for this year, you're going to have to purchase from GA Gold, who's on the state contract with the other providers. They're all offering the same deal. They have to. So it's spot plus 35 cents. Now going to next year, you may want to either consider purchasing those tanks from GA Gold to allow you to purchase from other providers, or purchase your own tanks and have those removed. It would be quite a process for GA to come in and dig up those tanks. So that could be a discussion going into next year. So you would this year go off of the state contract through OGS.
Okay, right, gotcha.
Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Opposed? Carried 4-0. Resolution 118 of 2021, resolution authorizing payment of vouchers with the use of occupancy tax funds. Introduced by Deputy Supervisor Waterhouse. Is there a second?
Second.
Councilman Fazio. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried 4-0. Resolution 119 of 2021, resolution authorizing execution of the contract with general code for legal codification services, introduced by Deputy Supervisor Waterhouse. Is there a second? Councilman O'Neill. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried 4-0. Resolution 120 of 2021, resolution authorizing hiring of a deputy attorney for the town of Lake Luzerne, introduced by Deputy Supervisor Waterhouse. Is there a second?
Second.
Councilman Fazio. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried 4-0. Resolution 121 of 2021, resolution creating the employment position of Assistant Zoning Enforcement Officer and posting the new position to solicit resumes from interested applicants, introduced by Deputy Supervisor Waterhouse. Is there a second?
Second.
Councilman Lewandowski. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried 4-0. Resolution 122 of 2021. Resolution appointing members to the Town Advisory Committee for the updated consolidated plan, introduced by Deputy Supervisor Waterhouse. Is there a second?
Second.
Are we still at this? Are we still at 15 applicants?
Yes.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, they're all in your resolution.
And we can add the APA if we needed to.
Yeah, oh, they have to be on.
Okay. Yeah, if you want to, or I can reach out to him tomorrow.
Okay. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried 4-0. Resolution 123 of 2021, resolution appointing Dane Morton to the planning board and appointing Pam Pettis as alternate to the planning board, introduced by Councilman Fazio.
Second.
Councilman Lewandowski, second. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 4-0. Resolution 124 of 2021, resolution authorizing execution of the contract with Edmunds Gov Tech for managed IT maintenance and storage, introduced by Councilman Fazio. Is there a second? Councilman O'Neill. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried 4-0. Resolution 125 of 2021, resolution authorizing highway superintendent Rule to purchase 8 new fire hydrants not to exceed a total cost of $27,000, introduced by Councilman Lewandowski. Is there a second?
I'd like to change that from 8 down to 6, because nobody's got them in stock. I'll be lucky if I can get 6. Just so you know. And I have a new quote from Ferguson to go with the 3 that we already presented. I'll get that printed off. It's on my phone. I'll get that printed off to you guys.
Yep, Debbie's moving the words. We can make a note, you don't need to modify the resolution, you can purchase up to 8, if you only need 6, you only have access to 6. But you did identify 8 to me
Yeah.
that needed replacement.
I wouldn't be able to get all 8 done this year anyway, so we'll continue that into next.
Yeah, so you at least have the approved resolution, purchase up to 8 for that figure, because the quotes that you gave me would more than qualify for that purchase.
Will they hold the price, Ron?
I'm not sure if they will, because we got one quote that already went up $75 from 2 weeks ago.
Do they let you order, or do you have
We
to buy it
will,
right?
we pay ahead.
We just have to store them, which is okay.
Well, we can't get them, we're not gonna store them, can we pay ahead for them, so we don't have to absorb the price increase?
All in favor? Opposed? Resolution 126 of 2021, resolution terminating benefits and payments under resolution 17 of 2007, introduced by Deputy Supervisor Waterhouse. Is there a second?
Second.
Neil, discussion?
Yeah, can we put this?
I think I'd like to table this until we get
See what Bob does.
Mr. Shields' information presented to the town board before we finish this resolution.
And you'll have that tomorrow, Bob, you said?
Thank you.
So, for next week.
I get it tonight if you want it.
Resolution 127 of 2021, resolution calling a special town board meeting with the Lake Luzerne Association and the community to address lake water quality and preservation, introduced by Deputy Supervisor Waterhouse. Is there a second? Fazio, second.
What time and date for that? What time and date for that? Next Monday at 6.
Monday, August 16th, it's on the actual resolution, the back page. Monday, August 16th at 6 p.m. right here.
And we're also looking for volunteers. Help with classes and some of the stuff going on, information.
Well, we
Association.
oh, well, we welcome anybody's input to this.
Right.
We're trying to come up with a new solution because of ecological.
All in favor?
Aye.
Carried 4-0.
Okay, I've got one other resolution, Cindy, that I'd like to introduce. This originally was going to be back done in June. But as we know, June's meeting, Supervisor Molina took ill, so we did not proceed with it at that time. Resolution 128 of 2021 is a vote of no confidence in Supervisor Molina by Town Board of Lake Luzerne. Would you like to read the first paragraph? Whatever you got. Okay. Whereas over the past 9 months, from September 2020 through May 2021, and things have changed since then, obviously. Several violations of municipal, state, and local laws regulating policies have been discovered with respect to Supervisor Molino's conduct as supervisor for the town of Lake Luzerne, including but not limited to the following. And if you'd like, I can read down through there. I also have some here, some people like it. I'm sorry, what's that?
Yeah, read it.
Okay.
You can pass them out. You can grab a bunch of copies, pass them.
Does the whole board feel this way?
Pardon?
The whole board feels this way?
The resolution, we got to read the resolution.
Yeah, if you want to pass that out before you read it, go ahead.
Yep. There's got one here, someone come on up. Thank you. There's only a few copies. Sure. Thank you. Want to give her one, please?
I have a question.
Yes, no,
Oh, excuse me, I'm sorry.
that's the end.
What is the purpose of this?
This is to help Mr. Merlino resign from the town board as he has not been officially doing his job to the community.
But I thought this was for water house.
David, just want to go through and read them all, then
Yeah.
the public comment. Please.
You got any more copies or?
Yep.
There's some around. There's some coming around.
Maybe if you just want to bullet, well,
You want to hit? I'll head down through. You guys want to split some up or? All right, the first one, supervisor sold town property without town board approval or knowledge, meaning the vote. Supervisor purchased town property without town board approval or knowledge, again, the vote. Awarded a $15,000 contract to replace roof on the buildings and grounds building to a friend without soliciting bids. Failed to oversee overtime for town employees.
You have it.
You don't have to.
I'm reading the highlights, you can read the paragraphs, I mean, come on, Ralph, how
We
really?
don't have enough.
We didn't get one.
All right, let's start over again. Well, you're hitting,
Are there any extra?
the others just. All right, supervisor sold town property without town board approval or knowledge, the vote. The supervisor admits selling the vote without town board knowledge or approval. Number two, supervisor purchased town property without town board approval or knowledge, the vote. The supervisor admits to purchasing the vote without town board knowledge or approval. That also broke the procurement policy at that time, which was $500 and paid $1,500 for it. Awarded a $15,000 contract to replace the roof on buildings and grounds building to a friend without soliciting bids. This contract was awarded to a vendor who the supervisor does admit is a friend and admits this vendor has performed work for him in the past as private B&B business. Supervisor also admits he plays cards with this friend. This roofing contract was for $15,000 and was awarded without the knowledge or approval of the town board. The supervisor awarded this $15,000 contract under the explanation of an emergency declaration as to the roof containing mold. There is no written emergency declaration on file with the town clerk. The existence of mold would not be an emergent situation as a problem developed over time, was open and obvious, and the roof was not in jeopardy of collapse. Further, there are no quotes on file from any vendor offering a price to perform the work, and although Supervisor Molino stated he called 3 roofing companies for quotes, none are on file, and the supervisor states he does not recall who he called. Soliciting quotes would not have taken an unreasonable amount of time. It should have been done to assure competitive pricing and fair value for the work while assuring transparency and open and honest government. Number 4, failed to oversee overtime for town employees. Supervisor Molino's own statement and admission that during his 10 years as supervisor, over 15 years, the supervisor has never reviewed overtime payroll in the Buildings and Grounds Department despite approving payroll every 2 weeks during the same 15 years. During the time, or during the 5 years from 2015 to 2020, the approximate overtime total in Buildings and Grounds Department exceeded 4,000 hours, resulting in over $100,000 in overtime payments. This failure to supervise and review payroll records resulted in excessive overtime, which was not authorized by the town board. This is a complete failure to supervise, review, and provide oversight on overtime hours and wages paid to town employees in the Buildings and Grounds Department. Overtime benefit without town board knowledge or approval. A 4-hour minimum overtime benefit issued on a Saturday and Sunday without town board knowledge or approval.
Over the last few months, the board has discovered by admission of 2 current town employees and 1 prior town employee that Supervisor Moreno authorized payment of a 4-hour minimum overtime paid commitment on weekends, Saturdays and Sundays for employees in the Buildings and Grounds Department. This was authorized without the town board knowledge or approval. Supervisor Moreno states he did not approve this and denies having any knowledge. Town employees state otherwise. Thus, if an employee worked 1 hour of overtime on a Saturday or Sunday, the employee would be paid for 4 hours without the town board approval or knowledge. The supervisor denies authorizing this benefit, but there again, 2 of the town employees and 1 prior town employee stated otherwise. Regardless, the supervisor certifies payroll and must oversee, review, and audit payroll to assure that hours are actually worked by employees. Absent authority granted by the town board of Lake Luzerne, a 4-hour minimum cannot be authorized nor paid. Note 2021, the town board now oversees all overtime buildings and grounds. January 1st to May 31st of 2021, total overtime was approximately 24 hours total in 2021. Annual total hours for top 5 quarters, 5 top quarter earners 2016 to 2020, and 2016 was 874 hours. 2017, 1,074, 2018, 999, 2019, 817, 2020, 445 hours, and one of the top 5 only worked 5 months in 2020. Making payments on debt obligations without any supporting documentation.
I say that 3 times.
Damn, doing it here. Yeah. Making payments on town debt without supporting documentation. Currently, there are 11 retired town employees receiving payments for reimbursement for Medicare Part B coverage pursuant to resolution number 17 of 2007. There have been many more than 11 retired employees over the past 14 years, but several have passed away. These reimbursement payments have been made without the town requiring any documentation supporting the payment. Currently, payments are being made without the supporting documentation in the current amount of over $12,000, with no supporting documentation to issue these checks. The payments made by the town since 2007 pursuant to this resolution exceed $150,000. The financial obligation and liability of the town going forward is not responsible, ascertainable at this time due to the complete failure of documentation. Okay, employees working at the transfer station stated that the supervisor instructed them, the town employees at the transfer station, to fake weigh the municipal solid waste of a property owner when they bring their municipal waste to the transfer station for disposal, thus not charging nor accounting for the municipal waste for this one particular property owner. This allegation was made by one town employee and confirmed by 2 separate town employees. Number 7, in May of 2020, supervisor purchased and paid $1,189 for flowers from a town employee. The supervisor purchased these flowers for the town without town board knowledge or approval. This is a violation of the town procurement policy. In November 2020, the supervisor ordered from that same town employee flowers to be delivered in spring of 2021 that cost over $1,000. This again was a violation of the town procurement policy. Number 8, failed to manage and oversee the maintenance of the town water pumps at the water pumping station for the 16 years as supervisor. On April 12, 2021, pump number 1 seized up and stopped working. It was then discovered there were no maintenance records for either pump number 1 or 2 over the 25 years of their operation and service. This failure to maintain contributed to the failure of pump 1 on April 12, 2021, causing the necessity of an emergency executive order declaration to replace the pump, causing a state of emergency within the town water system. The system operated on 1 remaining pump for 2 weeks while waiting for the new replacement pump to be delivered and installed. This event could have resulted in a complete and catastrophic water system failure.
This emergency resulted in higher expense due to the emergent status of the replacement order, with the total cost of replacement of both pumps exceeding $30,000. This was a foreseeable and preventable event, with annual maintenance and inspection of both pumps, and with the town maintaining storage of a third replacement pump and motor in the town pump house, ready in the event of a failure. Number 9, failure to document employee discipline of town employees. By Supervisor Merlino's admission, he failed to properly supervise, monitor, and oversee employee conduct and discipline during his tenure as supervisor. The supervisor failed to document files when he did discipline, suspend, terminate, and/or compel an employee to leave or retire from town employment or be terminated while presenting an employee with a non-disclosure agreement. Number 10, retirement/pension benefits. Supervisor Merlino, as council member, Deputy Supervisor Waterhouse, and an attorney to the town to prepare and pass legislation requiring the town of Lake Luzerne to pay the supervisor Merlino $1,000 per month for the rest of his life. Number 11, alleged violation of Water District rules and policy. It's alleged by a former town employee that Supervisor Merlino waived compliance with Lake Luzerne Water District rules and regulations, resulting in waiving a substantial fee for the installation of a water main extension to a private property in violation of Lake Luzerne Water District rules and regulations, and did so once again without town board knowledge or approval. Number 12, accepting and filing real estate or real property deeds within the town of Lake Luzerne as grantee without town board knowledge or approval, i.e. Lake Bernard deed, creating liability issues and leaving unchecked since 2014. Currently being used as a beach for a private business. Number 13, issued a check to Rockwell Falls EMS in excess of $100,000 prior to receiving the required annual audit from the EMS in violation of contractual agreement. Now therefore be it resolved, as a consequence of the totality of failures and violations as outlined above, the town board enters this vote of no confidence in Supervisor Merlino. And further be resolved, all town board members shall, 1, immediately be provided with keys to all municipal buildings and offices therein, owned and or operated by the town of Lake Luzerne. And if the supervisor refuses to provide the keys within 24 hours, the deputy supervisor is hereby authorized to retain the services of a bonded locksmith to rekey all the town buildings and provide keys as required herein. Number 2, be allowed and provided with complete and immediate access to all town property, real and personal, and access to all records maintained by the town. Number 3, immediately, no town employee or elected official shall be allowed or permitted access in the municipal building, town hall portion of the building, including clerk's office, supervisor's office, bookkeeper's office, assessor's office, and the zoning office during the weekends from 4 p.m. Friday till 9 a.m. on Mondays, except in the event of an emergency or scheduled town meetings. Deputy supervisor is hereby authorized to have full and immediate access to Supervisor Merlino's office contents, and office computer to fully access Supervisor Merlino's office computer, hard drive, and email accounts used in the regular course of business of the supervisor of the town of Lake Luzerne. The town board shall deliver a copy of this resolution to the New York State Comptroller's Office with a town board request for an audit for the years 2016 through 2020, with a focus on overtime and other undocumented expenses paid by the town of Lake Luzerne. In light of Mr. Merlino's failing health, we, the town board, decided not to present this publicly, but by our signatures below, respectfully request the New York State Comptroller's Office audit the items identified here and above in an audit from 2016 to date. Just so the public is aware, this resolution was signed on June 12th by the board members and tendered to the state controller's office the next day. And the comptroller's office has sent a letter to the town. We're going to come up and do a full field audit on the town by the end of August. We'll be here for a couple of months. And they are looking into a criminal investigation with respect to the boat, because a private resident in town had made an accusation that the boat was stolen. We contacted the local authorities. The boat's numbers on the registration do not match the numbers on the trade agreement that the town has on file. So the New York State Police and the investigators in the Department of Motor Vehicle is investigating that issue.
Is Mr. Merlino still supervisor?
Yes.
As of right now,
yes,
he is. Has he been presented with this document?
He has not. State Controller's Office has been up and taken possession of the computer from the supervisor's office and also took out several boxes. We're taking this very seriously. The boat issue and the overtime are very serious issues.
Actually, this isn't, this, I know, but that comes at the end, the public comment.
So you have a motion, I think you need a second.
Second. All.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries.
Okay, we're gonna go on to committee reports. Mike, do you have anything from the assessor?
We do. So, Melissa, our assessor, good morning, Mike. Hope this finds you well. She did a little personal stuff. My mom and dad sold their house, so she's happy, wishing them well. The assessor's office, she completed her assessor's annual report for the Office of Real Property Tax Services as required in July, and made the change into next year's role. And she's now working on the 2022 roll year. Crystal found and installed a new computer that this office was desperately in need of. Steve Peluso, the Northern Regional Office Manager, Kristen McEwen, Deputy Director of the PRTS, both came here to install this program to fix the problems with her GIS features and pictures. The computer is now working as it should. She continues to process sales as she does every month. She hasn't received the sales extract for July yet, but here are the numbers for previous month: June sales 20, May 25, April 15, March 30, February 23, and January 33. Keep in mind, these are all numbers of all sales that she's processed, including arm's length and non-arm's length sales. Arm's length sales are usable for comparison, non-arm's length are not usable for a number of reasons, meaning the sale is not a valid sale in the open market and does not reflect true value. As we all know, it's currently a seller's market. The market is flooded with more buyers than there is inventory for sale, and therefore parcels are selling at a much higher price. The town, in her opinion, may want to consider doing a reevaluation within the next few years. Although the town is at a uniform 95% of value, she has all indications that will be lower next year. Keep in mind, a reval is a costly and time-consuming process, and it takes 2 years to get it done correctly. If and when the town is interested in proceeding with a reval, she'll reach out to other towns for names and references of companies that they have used. I remember when I talked to her the month before, I think North City of Glens Falls does it regularly, and it was at a cost of about $380,000, if I remember correctly. So it's not a cheap endeavor at all. To date, Karen has provided her with 73 permits for the year 2021, 46 which are still open, 7 which are new construction homes. Interesting to note the growth of our town. She has 40 remaining open permits from the year 2020 out of 119 permitted, 8 remaining open permits for year 2019 out of 81 permitted. Permits remain open until the work is 100% complete. Just for everyone's information, she must review each permit project and value of what is completed as of March 1st each year. And that's it.
Could we get a copy of that?
Sure.
Honestly, I'm a slow thinker. I'd like a copy of that to absorb it.
I don't talk fast.
All right. Actually, if you want to get us your email at the end of the thing, maybe Mike just email it forward.
Great.
All right.
Thank you.
We have Mike and David with the fire department EMS. Do you have anything?
For the fire department, we're taking over, it used to be called St. Sprint through school. Last year, they had some hard times. Fire company has taken it over. It's now Fireman's Sprint. We're going to be working with the Lions Club on that. We're going to be doing a coin drop August 21st. It's a pretty big fundraiser for the company. For June, there was 26 calls, 5 MVAs, 2 AMS assists, 2 mutual aid, 1 fire, and 16 miscellaneous. We're thinking about restarting some kind of food sales, possibly breakfast or chicken barbecues, something along that line.
For the record, we did get a successful audit from EMS, so the check has been delivered. Correct?
And then for the EMS,
Yeah.
I went to the meeting the other night, and they do a great job for us, in my opinion. They had a PPP loan. They did the paperwork, did all their, crossed their Ts, dotted their Is, and it was forgiven for 77,000, so that's fantastic. That's 77 less out of our tax burden. They had 62 calls. It was even 31-31 between Warren and Saratoga County. This is a number that jumped out to me, and I really wanted to share with everybody. The average time it takes them to get off the floor when a call comes in was 2.25 minutes. And that's just not numbers that they make up, that's numbers that are actually monitored by the county. 2.25 minutes, guys, that's amazing in my opinion. And 18 minutes to arrive on the scene, and we go all over the place, so. To say that they're gonna be at your house within 18 minutes, if God forbid something happens, it's amazing. Corinth, they went to 4 times, Stony Creek 1 time. They hired a new EMT, Josh Kilmore, he has 15 years experience, we wish him well. They're still waiting for permission to do EMT class. Hopefully they'll get that from Mountain Lakes, and we'll be able to have one right in our town. As it progresses, I'll make sure I let everybody know. There's an issue that, we were talking about the current FASD contract, which the town is now managing. And I just want to bring it up to get it out there in full transparency. There's a clause in there that was instituted by the town, our town, Supervisor Molino and Supervisor Wright over in Hadley, where their billing company cannot go after residents who choose not to pay their copay or their deductible. To me, that's crazy, because number one, if they don't pay it, who else pays it? It's all of us here tonight. It gets spread out amongst all the taxpayers instead of the people that actually use the service. I'm not a fan of that. I think we're going to look into the legality and the feasibility of removing that from the contract. So they have no ability to bill for co-pays or deductibles, and then it falls into all you ladies and gentlemen's lap to help bridge that gap. And I don't think that's fair in the least. So that's that. I think that's it.
Yep. Paul, transfer station?
I haven't got anything on it this month.
Okay. The water department was, Mike and I, we've had an issue this week, our water purifier, she hurt her back. So she's out for a while, so I was a little concerned about whether the testing was being done, but the gentleman from Bolt Landing has been taking care of it. But it just goes out there that, we've talked about realigning that water department. We need to get on that. We need, that's something that the state, to be honest, hard if that water's not tested every day. But thankfully, Teresa took the ball by the, took the bull by the horn and made sure it got tested. She reached out to the guy from Bolton, and it was taken care of. So it was a nice job. Although she was hurt, she hurt her back pretty bad. In town insurance, we're meeting tomorrow morning with Yeager and Flint to go over our insurance plans for next year. Also more hard finished next meeting. Occupancy tax. Mike, you have anything on that, or?
Just that, we're doing well. We approved some stuff to go. We still have some money to give out. We talk to Pam afterwards and get the Chamber of Commerce funded to the ability that we can.
Right.
Just to reach a little further into what we were talking about earlier. And there's certain things that we can and cannot pay with occupancy tax. Just so you know.
I know.
We will, it was all on the bill that you submitted. So we have to make sure that what we can't pay, we're going to strike off that, and we'll go over that. Right, and also, speaking of occupancy tax, Jamie over here does our social media, internet, website and all that stuff, so I don't know if you want to circle that into the report until afterwards. Or...
Yeah, absolutely, you have a good time. Are you ready to do
I'm
that?
fine waiting to the end if there's other stuff that needs to
Okay,
go through.
all right. Let's see, we have public safety, you have anything on that, Mike? Okay, David, you have anything on that? Okay. Street lighting, Paul?
Nothing at this time. We've got a meeting coming up with Memo.
Yeah, it's a Zoom meeting, I think, on Thursday.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Parks and beaches at this present time. We've been having a severe problem with our friendly geese that have kind of moved in over the season. I've been in contact with DEC, going over a number of ways of legally taking care of the problems. There can be a permit, believe it or not, issued on April 1st, goes through June or September 31st for euthanization of them. We're trying not to do this at this time. We do have the rights to throw firecrackers at them, shush them off, sick the dogs on them, sick people on them. Anything we want to do because it is turning into a health problem. Our beaches are being cleaned twice a week just for droppings that they're leaving and trying to keep that under control. We have tried in the past, pictures of a wolf. That didn't work. We have heard of many other things to try, and we kind of weed through the situation. We're chasing them off the beaches. I understand they're going over to another part of the lake and ending up on their property. It's an ongoing situation with every town where there's town beaches.
Is this wild dogs?
Pardon?
Wild?
Geese.
Geese. And we're trying to help and take care of the situation, but it's a tough one. I'm not going down there and pull the trigger.
Okay, thanks, Paul. Mike, courts,
From Melissa again, she's the court clerk as well, a little multitasking on her part. No issues to report. She said the last protocol sent to the court still has us operating at a 50% capacity. However, all persons fully vaccinated no longer need to wear a mask. There's a gentleman working there named Connor that we hired a little while ago. She can't speak enough about him. He's doing a great job. He's respectful of the court atmosphere and a pleasant personality to work alongside. So great news there, and we're happy to have him.
okay, yeah, we went over energy and gas. Cemetery, cemetery, no. IT and website, I got a great letter from Jamie today. You should be writing grants for people. I mean, you're fantastic with that. It's unbelievable.
Thank you.
Her pay is gonna be up in 3 weeks. For the initial payment that we decided on. What I'd like to do is just have a week for all of us to think about going forward. I'll present them the proposal that you gave me, and we'll have an answer for you at next Monday. And that's a special meeting. Is that okay?
Yes.
All right, security, anything, Mike? That was a gentleman that we had the.
Yeah, we talked about, security is a broad blanket, right? So we're making sure we're backing up all our computers now. We talked about that. Right now, we're only backing up certain programs within our system that the company that makes the backup provided. So we don't feel comfortable with that. We want to make sure that everything is backed up, maintained properly. There's 2 cloud locations, one on the East Coast, one on the West Coast. I'm really talking like I know what I'm talking about, but that's what the guy told us. But it's really technological, but it's valuable and it provides good service. If God forbid something happens to our computers, then all cities files will be backed up, the water computer will be backed up, the assessor zoning, all that stuff. So we're not going to be left in the dust if we have a ransomware attack or something like that, which is very common. We all heard about the pipeline and all that other stuff. So we certainly don't want to be on that radar, and this will protect us and guarantee through that company that won't happen. So I got this first.
Cindy, down for.
Some correspondence. Town of Lake Luzerne from 9-year. In 2008, the 9-year Board of Governors decided to initiate a program by which 9-year would return the initial capital contribution with interest made by each member when joining 9-year. From 2008 to present, we have returned over 16 million to our members. At 9-year's 2019 annual meeting, the board elected to continue the program and return all capitalization contributions with interest to members currently in our program and rejoining us. These upcoming distributions have been made possible due to the dedication and loyalty of our membership for close to 30 years. They demonstrate the financial strength of 9-year, which continues as the largest, most successful example of municipal cooperation anywhere in New York State. The New York Municipal Insurance Reciprocal is pleased to enclose your check for capital paid to Niger. This check also includes any interest that accrued on your municipality's capital contribution. Check was in the amount of $6,864. I have given the board members the animal control officer report for June. I also will admit to the record the zoning report to the town board for July, the zoning officer gave you that report as well. To the highway crew, thank you so much for making our roads safe. We appreciate you, residents of Fairtown Road. Gave the board the New York State Department of Health bathing beach inspection summary report. There were no hazards found. No hazards not corrected, no violations found. At the beach. New York State Ag and Markets municipal shelter inspection report for July is all satisfactory. I gave the board an email. Good morning. I'm emailing this morning to inquire about the planning board vacancy, and if I can submit a letter of interest by email. Jason Tyler, which he did, and I gave to the board. And I always submit the record of town clerk's monthly report to the supervisor. July, total shares remitted $8,685.55 to my office, and DEC commissions of $12.25. Letters of interest for the comprehensive plan and bids that we did not get. I want the board to think about, because I don't know what to say to people when they call and ask me this question, but I did get an email from someone who wants to use what they're calling the Lake Luzerne Chamber of Commerce Yard for a small wedding event involving a catered dinner.
Where is that?
Well, it's behind the Harmon. Down.
The beach.
No,
Not
down
the beach.
behind the Harmon.
Right.
Well,
The
there's no
ground.
beach there.
Where they had concerts.
No, it's down on Main Street.
On the river.
That's the tennis.
I mean, I'm not gonna make that call, so you guys can talk about that. Decide what kind of policy you want to put forward for that. Karen has requested that the car group that meets out in the parking lot on Wednesday leave parking in the front. There's public hearings on August 11th and August 25th. So they need parking for that.
That's part of the tourism thing. We could probably handle that one over talk to Dave about maybe both us to close out or something like that.
That's all been handled.
Okay.
You took care of
I've taken care of that with highway department, to bring cones down. I've talked to Ernie Weiler, who's passing it on to Dan,
Okay.
and they will place the cones. The highway department, she's got to supply the cones. They'll do the place.
And I just want to remind you that my resident in Hudson Grove is still outstanding on the water.
Ronnie, did you get up there and check that?
Yeah, right after that meeting, the next day.
It will shut off.
Now, so yeah.
The valve is off. So you have to decide.
Oh, didn't we as a board request that he showed us paperwork in respect of when the will?
We've talked about it, but we haven't given him anything official.
Official?
So if we
I
want-
think the only way that we can solve the problem personally is to send the person that we're talking about a letter in regards to showing when the well was put in, that he is no longer using town water by using it well, and showing us that proof that work was done. And we can take it from that point on.
You asking me to write that? Or did you ask?
I would imagine it will end up coming out from our work.
I can connect with Ron and see what we did up there.
That's-
Have a conversation with you at the meeting about it.
The only thing I really have is I have a quote for 6-inch line stopping service. That's to replace the hydrant up north. But this company will come in and put a saddle over it and inflate a balloon inside. That way, we don't have to interrupt any service up north. We won't have to shut down any residents. I have a quote of $4,000. It includes the stainless steel fitting that they use. I haven't found another company in the area. These people are out of Selkirk. And his time frame is a week, which I'm waiting on parts right now. So with the board approval, I would like to use this company and go this route.
Is a valve going to be installed at that time?
A valve will be installed on this line. That way, any future problems, we can just shut it off and I can work on it. I have other hydrants that may or may not have a valve in front of them.
Well, take us through what happens if we have to shut down the whole section of the water system. I know I heard some rumblings about you have to get the health department involved and there's a whole regimen of procedures that need to be followed before you can upcharge it again.
This way, they're not involved at all. After a certain 3 hours, I believe it is, 3-4 hours, then you have to get the department of health involved. Anything could go wrong, and you're shutting off from just before Gailey Hill, everything north. It's quite a few residents, and you know, in the middle of the summer, I'd rather just do it this way and do my thing and be done.
And that $4,000 will include that fitting that we can shut it off on our own from here on out.
No,
or is
that's
that-
on my side. This is the fitting that he inserts into the line.
And how much is the fitting to not have to ever use this guy again in that particular situation?
What they
This
shut off
is
now.
a service that they do. No other.
No, I'm saying, once they shut it off, you're gonna put a valve. in
Our
front of
valve,
it,
yes.
Right, is there a cost for that, obviously?
It's about 600 to 700.
Okay.
All these hydrants should have them. They don't. So. Again, I got 3 new water service taps to do. I got them lined up. We got finishing work at Schofield, and we're gonna start brushing on top of the Luzerne Mountain.
Is that it? My report, we had a couple fires and we had to put out this weekend. Mike actually gave me a call over the Warren County Dispatch. He had heard that water was running out of our bathhouse at the beach. Not knowing what was coming out, whether it was gray water or what, I called Cooks to help me. We got in there and the urinal was stuck wide open and there was probably a 1-inch line in there. Which there are no shutoffs on any of the appliances in there, you know, or what you call it. So we turned off the main. So then today I decided to find out where the tanks were, because I'm sure they were full, We found the one at that beach and it is full, we pumped out this week. Not sure, maybe Glenn or Bob would know up at the Pierpont Beach where the tank is, the septic for that.
It's as soon as you walk out the bathhouse door.
It's on which side?
Once you step out the door, the one on the heights,
Yeah,
once you step out the door, you're on the septic.
okay, thanks. The beach was crowded today, so we didn't want to go up there and search around for it. We want to take care of that Wednesday morning early. The other thing we had was during the power, there was a storm on Saturday morning. A tree came down and took the electric service off the pulp mill. And I guess it was kind of dangerous, so Ammo came in, called help, put some phones out. I actually called Jay Ellis today. He's gonna have it repaired by Thursday at the latest. He's gonna, guess we damaged the negative line.
The neutral, yeah.
Neutral going in, so he's gotta replace some lines, but it should be done by Wednesday or Thursday at latest. I talked with the folk school people today, actually on the phone. The Open Space Institute, which has I would say like a right of way through that property around the folk school, they want to give it back to the town. I told them we kind of need to do a workshop on that. That's one of those things that the Attorney General's looking at as well, or the comptroller's looking at, so we might need some time on that. The other thing is, I want to know from you guys on the board, we talked about refinancing the bond at the town garage for $1 million, try to save us $47,000 a year, and paying off the garbage truck, which will save us 2.5% on the last $50,000. Something you guys want me to look forward to, and look into it more?
Oh, I do.
Okay, so I'll go ahead with that this month. And Ronnie, can you, we received that $166,000. I'd like to see just a couple different proposals from you of what you want to do with that for infrastructure. And I talked to Logan a little bit about what he thought, but maybe something in writing that the board can look at and decide which direction we're going to go, okay? And then I was going to ask Colleen to cut a check for the chamber. We'll do that tomorrow. And then on the weekend of, or the week of August 16th, we met with Supervisor Wright. There's meetings about the bridge, the safety of the bridge, where the kid just drowned. We're going to take more of a role in it, but because Supervisor Merlino really hasn't been in touch with anybody, they're kind of leaving us out. So he actually came to and found me and said, listen, can you come to this meeting? So that's going to be the week of the 16th. That's what he said, right?
Yes.
So we're going to try to get involved with that, some kind of safety there. I'm not sure if it's putting up fences or what it is, but I'll keep everybody informed on what's going on up there. But we're going to take a more active role in keeping people safe down there.
So Saratoga County issued 7 tickets.
7 tickets.
I saw that, yeah. So,
And they said they were going to step up. patrol
they did
on
put
that.
new signs up, stating some penal codes that you're violating and the fines and 30 days in jail. So, but I'll let you know what becomes of that meeting. And that's it. David, you have anything else to add?
Well, Warren,
They've already put the signs up.
Saratoga's already put signs up on the bridge.
Yeah.
To warn people of no trespassing, things of this sort.
You have any other thing to add, Mike, on your reports?
Well, first I wanted to thank Councilman O'Neill for reading that resolution for Supervisor Molino. It wasn't easy. It's not easy for any of us. Over the course of the time that I've been on the board, I've seen people's attitude towards myself change, but this isn't about me, but I'm just kind of talking off the top of my head a little bit. People either they want to talk to you or they're mad because you're doing what you think is the right thing. And to me, that's why I'm here. It has nothing to do with politics. It has nothing to do with who pulls the lever because they like you or don't like you because of how you interacted with Supervisor Molino. So when I have to look at everybody in the post office and stewards all around town, I lived through all my life. If I don't get elected again for the councilman position, but I know I've done the right thing, then I feel like it's okay. But I just wanted to say, we're here because we care about everybody here, not because we wanted to do anything like that. But it's just something that has to be done. It's not pleasant. It's not easy, but absolutely has to be done. And again, I give everybody up here credit for stepping up to do what they felt was right. And we'll see where the chips lay with the controller's office.
Oh, you think that?
Being on the board, it's kind of going, part of it, what Michael's already said, it's been a very enlightening situation to find out the information that we have found over the last few months. We're also trying to be very transparent and show the townspeople along with anything we do is up and up. Hopefully, nobody holds this against the board, like Mike has already personally said. It's just something that needs to be taken care of, and it will all come out in final end. Thank you.
The thing I've got on it is, we're looking out for the best interest of our community. We've got a great community here. I'd like to see you keep going in that right direction. We're just trying to look out for your best interest, which is our responsibility. That's it.
And that being said, I've been with Gene a long time, and I really do like the man. He's a good man. He kept our taxes low. And I blame myself, for 16 years or 15 years, and Glenn, you pointed out perfect. Sat on my hands. I didn't know what my job was really to do. And you pulled us out of that. And I think if you changed the course of Lake Luzerne, you really have, by accusing me of doing that not knowing what my job was. And you're absolutely spot on. And
Mr. Herring as well.
yeah, Jack, you as well. I know you're very critical, but you were right on the money. And I think going forward now, everybody's informed, the communication lines are open, everything's transparent, with nothing to hide. Thank you for that. It's very difficult. Like I said, I really enjoy Gene. He's been a good friend to me, but it's time to move forward in the right direction. So thank you for that.
That doesn't mean we're never gonna make a mistake, right?
Absolutely. No.
The methodology is to do everything correctly above board so everybody can weigh in on what we've done. And if we do something wrong, correct us. And it's not gonna be done in the back room in somebody's office. It's gonna be done right here in front of everybody on Zoom, where everybody can absorb it and give us their feedback.
With that, Dave, you have anything to add or no? Report wise?
One piece of information that I want to share with the town regarding this whole situation is twofold. One, from this point forward, everything that you see in this resolution is being investigated by the New York State Comptroller's Office and the State Police. So we will not be talking about this anymore going forward until the report comes out. The New York State Comptroller's Office is going to do a full field audit of the town's finances from 2016 to date. If they see other things, they're going to go further. At the end of that audit, they're going to give a full audit report to the town with recommendations and demands of what we have to do to right the ship. So going forward, there will be no deficiencies, if you will, in the financial course of the town. And I've impressed upon the board going forward, every transaction that the town engages in, regardless of how small, because this is not a big town, should be put out to the public spectrum to let everyone comment on it. And we're making every effort to do that. The last piece of information that I'll share, and I'll turn it back over to you, Dan, is you should know that when the resident who informed us that the boat might be stolen, we took action the next day and contacted the authorities. And with the police present, Councilman Fazio called Aqualogic and put the call on speaker and asked them where the documents are from where the boat came from. And their response was, and I will kind of quote it because it was kind of shocking. We don't keep good records, so we probably don't have. And that's what happens when you don't do things above in the public. That one act of transferring and selling that boat has now cast a cloud over everything else. There may not be any other problems. We don't know. The comptroller will make that decision. But by not taking that to the board and having that approved, these questions could have been asked. Aqualogic, what are the numbers? They don't jive. They don't match the registration. Where are they? These questions could have been asked by you folks, by the board, by anybody, but no one was given that opportunity. And when she made that statement on speakerphone to Councilman Fazio in front of the police, everyone's jaw in that circle was like, seriously? You don't have the documents. I'll just let that rest in your head a little bit. I'll turn it back forward.
Okay. At this point, we'll open the floor to the public.
She's not gonna be late.
That's my second meeting ever. Holy fuel. So
We need a name first, then you're.
Julie Brino, 64 Winnar Lane.
Thank you.
Before this thing came out, going through all of these reports and all these resolutions, my husband Al Brino, all of this came out, and I'm thinking, you're hiring all these new people, there's no numbers. How much? How much? Why aren't you including what you're planning to spend and where you're finding that money? Transparency. Hello, how much? How
I can
much?
address that for you.
Okay.
There's actually resolutions. This is the file for this month's legislation, and this is accessible at the clerk's office. And if you folks would like, we can try to make sure this is online going forward. If everyone has access to a computer.
That's a great idea. I don't know why it's not included, or, you're gonna hire these positions.
There are no increases in the budget. We're just moving different money around from different parts because we,
But what is the pay for these positions?
for example, the deputy town attorney is $12,000 a year. And it's only for 2 years.
Shouldn't it say that?
It's in the resolution.
It's in the-
It's in the actual resolution. Everything is in there, ma'am, and you're welcome to have it. It's public knowledge.
Okay,
And
so
what-
I just have to go search for it.
No, you just gotta go to the
Just
premise.
ask for it. You have to
Ask
serve.
I just think it would be, ease of use, like they're saying, this wasn't available until tonight, or you don't know.
Would you like us to make
You're
photocopies
creating
of
it.
this entire pack for everyone at every meeting? Because we can. We're just trying to say,
No,
no, not on a piece of
just put
casket.
a price tag up, just, simple, anyways, just, and then this comes out. And I know it takes a big who to do this to your mama, to this guy who's been serving the community. And I want to start by saying, thank you for serving. This is a thankless job. I get it. Thank you, guys. All you hear is complaints. I get it. But 16 years, shame on you.
You better,
Finally standing up and doing it, and, oh, gosh. So, but I have specific questions also about, obviously, specifically about where we live. Oh, I have all these notes. I'm sorry, I'm not as prepared as I should be. But about Lake Luzerne and our deeded beach rights, and there is a reference to that. And I would like to know who was responsible for allowing the Castner Motel to purchase all the land to landlock a beach that belongs to the town. Who allowed that purchase to happen with no access to that beach? Because that's what happened. Now, I've got the map, I've got the thing, and I know there is an access road the town still owns over here. The town owns the beach here, we own an access road over here. There's no way to cross private property to get to that beach. I wonder who allowed them to purchase that access to that beach?
how long does it go back?
We saw it in the 30s, right? Was it at least in the 1930s? And then that one parcel was pulled out for some reason. We're looking into another attorney right now. How it got pulled out, it's very complicated, because it was actually called Lake Checkerboard at the time, I believe. And I know it was like a Wooden family for a while, and it takes a lot of research. We're trying, we spent a couple hours last week looking through this.
And we really appreciate that. We're not the only ones,
I understand.
Everybody on the street.
yeah, there might be a.
What's a grantee? You explain that term. The grantee, like, under 12?
The grantee is the individual corporation partnership, whatever entity you want to define that receives the deed. The grantor is the entity that transfers the deed. Like if I were to sell you a piece of property, I'd be the grantor, you'd be the grantee. And under town law in New York State, in order for a town to accept real property, the board has to approve it. And the town accepted the deed.
Somebody accepted it.
Well, the town accepted it, not by the board. Your prior town attorney and supervisor accepted the deed privately in 2014.
Nice. And we suffer for that? So is that illegal? That's a
I'm
legal
trying to-
issue.
I'm trying to
You're
find a
right.
resolution.
Right. We don't do a class action against that. We'll see. Hopefully it won't come to that.
So, yes, there is a access road on the far part of that property with a lot that's owned by the town, right? Is there any plans on maybe putting a beach there, or?
That's a
making
question for the board. I'm just focused on figuring out what happened with that beach.
Right.
All right.
How that.
The town still owns the
So,
beach.
yeah, so going forward, is there going to be an opportunity for us to have a beach?
There may be, right now, we're looking at all properties that we own throughout town, every property that we own. And just, finding out what it is and what it's used for, and how it might be best back in the hands of the public, back on the tax rolls.
If you look on the town website, there's a list of town-owned properties.
Right.
You can take, it's
We
quite
have.
substantial.
There's
So you can go on the
46
county website and actually find out where they are and look at them.
Right.
The board's gonna go forward and make decisions on which properties.
But it's funny for the business, all these stanchions were put in place to block all the access to it. And now you go past there and all the stanchions have been moved to allow
Her
the movement inside the area.
her customers.
But it's funny, they're eliminating our access. And, you know, it's a big issue.
Well, as I understand it, there's deeded beach rights in your personal deeds, correct?
Correct. That was a
Our whole,
selling
our
point
whole
for
street.
us.
Right, and those beach access rights are through other parcels along that property.
See, we're not aware of that.
Yeah, I've been informed by their attorney, he's shown me the language of the deeds that they're of other parcels in that compound. Apparently, these folks have bought up the compound over the last several
They
years.
landlocked
They
the
landlocked
town beach.
Yeah.
Who allowed that to happen? Okay, so can we meet with somebody who can show us the path to this, how we get there? Can we meet with somebody and say, because we met Margaret.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
We met Margaret and she's not nice.
Yeah. Shoot us away very quick.
I think we need to figure out where we are legally with that before we start pulling down fences and stuff, you know.
Well, that, you know, we meet,
Right.
can somebody meet us down there
Well,
and we can talk about it and walk around there and.
I mean, I'd be happy to drive by, I'm not walking on this property again. Last
Oh,
time-
no, this is the main road.
What happened? What happened last night?
Well, it wasn't me, but Mike and the attorney got scolded for going on the property.
The Margaret.
Yeah. So,
So everybody's afraid of Margaret. What, how?
It's not, it's
How
not a matter
allowed
of
this
being
to
afraid,
happen?
it's not a matter of being afraid, it's a matter of respecting everyone.
It's the right.
So we actually know what we own. We
I don't
can't
do
go
anything
there
wrong.
talking gangbusters. We don't know. This attorney Mitchell just said this is going back to the thirties, the way that whole checkerboard was put together. You look at maps that run throughout the years, every one of them is different with different lines. So it's a work in progress, but it really
Well,
is.
we just paid a lot of money to have our service, so we have our lives.
There you go. You're ahead of us right now.
All right, so one other issue with living on the checkerboard is the ditches are not maintained. And, you know, we're downhill and all the water, our house is blocking all the water. And it's going under, it's a swamp. Anyways, we would just like the ditches maintained. We would like some,
maybe Ronnie can take a look at it.
Take a look at it. We'll
just
get
to,
there.
because the runoff is right down on us.
You know where they.
Thank you, guys.
You know where
I'm not
they.
sure exactly, but I'll find out. I'll take a look at it.
Just give them your address before you leave. Make it easy for them.
And if I could get a copy of that. Town of office records, there's like.
Okay.
And thank you so much for your time and your service. Thank you.
That's an issue. Anyone else like to come up? Yeah.
Camp Pettit, Schofield Road. I'd like to thank Ronnie, the whole town employees and the surrounding towns for doing an awesome job on our road. We really should do that for other roads. I hope to see that, cutting the brush back and whatnot. It's very nice. They did a great job. I know you're still working on it, but they did an awesome job for us. So I appreciate that. So, you know, Mike, do you have to run in November for your
Yes.
seat?
Of course.
You do. Word on the street, you don't have. That's what I was told.
I can't speak for the street.
Again.
Yeah. But, you know, I just want to know, in all these, very, very sad to hear this, because you know, you guys weren't involved, but the whole previous town board should be ashamed of themselves. But like these resolutions, I was here last week, they're written by the attorney. What do you guys do? Do you write these? I
We
mean,
give them to him to write for us, because we don't stroke the pen like he does, you know?
Well, yeah.
They actually meet with me throughout the month and they tell me the initiatives that they want to put together and I give them the draft legislation. They tell me to make changes here, changes there. I just make sure it's in proper legalese and it's properly documented. So going forward in the future, the town's protected and that they want to go back and look at some legislation.
And that's a big change in itself from our prior attorney.
Yeah, but I'm very disgusted to hear you guys doing this to Supervisor
You know,
Malino.
if we don't, we're culpable. Where's the LDC is? If once we know,
Well, you already are, because you've been on the board for so long.
Right, but the rest of us that haven't been there.
Right.
And not for nothing, because if I was sitting out there and found out things here and there, you betcha, and you've known me long enough, I'm telling you right up. I would be far from impressed if I knew things were going on and nothing was done about it. So
Right,
so we're doing something about it. We have to. One, it's our responsibility, but two, we're looking out for the community.
But I mean, you know, Paul and Dave, why haven't you done, you know, a better job before now?
Well,
Because
that's what it is.
we didn't get everybody's eyes did not get open until about January of this year, okay? When people that are in the audience right now did mention stuff,
Yeah, but they've
Okay,
been complaining for
and-
years.
and when we got an attorney that actually knows what they're doing, there's a big difference.
So did our attorney, the previous attorney quit, or did
He was,
He replaced, he was
he
replaced,
replace him?
yes,
okay,
because of,
Pam, as you all
To the
know,
worst.
just like everybody else is sitting here. And if you wanna call blaming it on us, go ahead. The only thing is you gotta take a look at. I sat on the board a little over 6 months, 7 months before everything started popping out and awareness. Other people on this board had no idea of the decisions made by Mr. Marino. They were popped out. And over the last 7 to 8 months, more and more people in the audience,
Yeah, but that's been happening for years.
No, it hasn't.
The complaints.
not
Yes,
where
they
it
have.
has come to
I've
our.
been to these board meetings, I know what goes on, and just like,
Fine,
you know,
I know you
was,
do.
when Mike Fazio was appointed to the board, I was one of the people that wanted on the board.
Yes, you were.
You know, and I was told by Danny Waterhouse, oh, you're gonna get on the board, and Supervisor Molino wanted me on, oh, no. That couldn't happen, you know, and yes, I did get very disgusted, I've done a lot of stuff for this town, I ran with Paul, almost won, you know, and you need somebody, what's wrong with a woman on here?
There's enough. Absolutely enough. And if you wanna bring something up, I was probably one of the firemen back in the fire department, which I served 23 years in that department, that was one of the hot people to bring women to help our community into that fire department. I have no problem in regards to working with women, and I fought hard for that.
But
So
I
don't
mean-
put that on me
Well, I mean.
or the town board.
When I ran, I've been involved and I was on the planning board, been involved in the town, I had a lot of, you know, I just wondered why I was not, you know, considered for the board, and that, you know, we came for interviews, that was just a facade, that's all that was. You know what you were gonna do beforehand, who you were gonna put Mike on here, you know, that really made me mad, and I don't think people realize what happened. They
Well,
really don't.
I'll make this remark and I'll call it quits. The night of that meeting, you stood right there and made the comment that you had changed parties, correct?
Yeah,
Okay,
because that's what hurt me.
hold on. But when you made that remark, you said, for now.
No, I didn't.
Yes, you did. And that's,
I'm not gonna change, you can't keep changing parties.
you can change it every other year.
I know, but I would not do
Okay.
that. I changed it
You made the
because,
remark that night. Okay, I changed parties for now,
I don't recall that, but
okay? Well, I do because that's what swayed my vote. I'll truthfully tell you. That's me personally.
Robert,
Stan?
Terry and Janet Tracker. Been on.
I'd like to speak to about Mr. Merlino. I find a lot of inaccurate information that you're speaking of, a lot of inaccurate information. How the money was spent. Mr. Merlino just about rebuilt this town.
I'm not saying he didn't do a good job, it's just the
Building
process in which
wells.
he did it.
Department just about rebuilt every building in the town of Lake Luzerne with about 3/4 of a mile of sidewalk. I remember a time that myself and another one were at your mom's house trying to stop the flood from one night.
Yeah, absolutely, you were.
I was there till 1 o'clock in the morning helping people to
This is
save their
nothing
house.
against building in.
Please, please, please. And this went on through all the events we had. And it wasn't just that. So you pick them apart for overtime. Did you forget why we came to work here to make money? Mr. Molino compensated us for our hard work. So Lee, I'm gonna leave it at that. I have a question about your procedures with our wells. How you like to speak about how Mr. Molino did so wrong. I fully requested everybody that we paid to rehab our wells. And I have 2 highway employees on here, Rob and Terry. Now, on their timesheets, I see they have 40 hours, and on the other side, they have 8.5 hours over. How did we pay them? I think I know how they paid them, and I think I know why you're all dumbfounded right now.
Well, Gene was in charge of payroll at that time.
Whoa.
Yes,
No,
he
no,
was.
no. Gene was booted then.
No, he wasn't, Glenn. He was not.
Last one.
The attorney was at the wells, why I do not know. You were down there. You were there for a short
I
time.
was on vacation that week,
I don't know where you were, but.
so your information's off.
How did we pay these guys? Is it called comp time?
I don't know, Glenn.
Oh,
Gene was in charge.
now. You just took over the wells. You wanted to know everything. You don't know how we paid. Well, let me tell you what I found out.
What?
Not a fact, but I do believe it's true because they were comped 8.5 hours. So we're not gonna pay you overtime. We're gonna comp you and get a day off some other time. I've never heard of such a thing. But it keeps your overtime down. It makes you look good. But Terry and Rob, we short them on money. The hell with their life. And where's Gene Schofield on here?
He was working for his heirs.
No, he doesn't work for heirs.
He did for that day.
I know Gene and I know heirs very well. And so I will guarantee you, Gene Schofield never worked for heirs until this job.
You're correct.
Does Gene Schofield work for you privately?
Yes.
And you don't find that odd that you were beating on Mr. Merlino because he hired his friends, but he can't, but you can.
That guy came in when we had nobody to help.
And I have one more statement. Probably, I worked 14 years with Mr. Merlino. And I will tell you, in my life, watching the town of Lake Luzerne, there's no man that put his heart and soul and his life into this town. Now, I beat him up because there was things that happened to me that were very unfair, and you were part of that. And now, I'm not holding a grudge, because I respect Mr. Merlino and all he's done for us here. A huge amount of things. Nobody will ever work as hard as Mr. Merlino. And you were here 14 years. 14 years. I went to you many times on some issues that we could have corrected. I wasn't looking to hurt Mr. Merlino, but you could have corrected him with Mr. Merlino.
I think we
wouldn't
did.
have been here.
The garbage.
Yeah, now you did. because you
No,
wanted a job.
no, that's
Because
not
you
true.
wanted a
It's not
job.
accurate. You're not accurate at
I
all.
watched
You're
you
not
and
accurate
Mike
at all.
Cascio viciously attack board members and got them off the board. And now you two sit right next to each other. Mark McLean, you viciously attacked him with no factual proof. And you knew he was unstable, and it was either you do the same to him like Mr. Molino up here. You beat him up until he's got to go because he's elderly. Not well, but I will say one thing for that man. I had a great amount of respect for all he did for us. And truthfully, as a boss, I still love the man. Even though-
Real Zubel, Lake Luzerne. Does our town's health insurance company cover temporary employees?
No.
Are elected officials temporary employees? Yes or no?
No.
Elected officials, town board members are not temporary employees?
You just got your answer.
I believe is only where you're
You
referring
either
to.
believe or you.
Are you,
Our town board members
I'm
elected.
trying to understand your question because I believe what you're trying to go after is the health insurance that for Mr. Wirehouse, is that correct? Okay. Ask the direct question. Don't.
Our
skirt around the
town
issue.
board members elected considered temporary employees or full-time.
I can answer that question.
That's a different, those are two completely
Then
different.
answer this one. I'll rephrase it. I'll start all over Brandon. so
Temporary,
everybody's clear.
temporary and full-time are not in the opposite. You don't need to be rude, Mr. Bill, but you're being rude.
Are elected town member or town board employees.
Do you want the
temporary
answer to why I got benefits?
Are,
It was a board resolution at the time.
it's a yes or no. Are you guys
Yes, we are.
considered temporary or full-time?
Part-time, temporary.
Does our health insurance company cover temporary employees?
I have no health insurance or any
I wasn't
insurance through the
talking about
community.
you.
I have health insurance by resolution of the board,
But
just like how every other town board member had in the past and how it's been taken away. It was a resolution by the board that the deputy supervisor gets health insurance.
has our health insurance company ever notified the board they will no longer insure temporary employees? Yes or no?
Not as far as I'm aware.
No.
Thank you.
Can I make one more statement, please? You just made a statement a little while ago that you weren't deputy supervisor when you received that benefit. Now, you just said that you
No,
received the
Let
benefit
me
because,
explain. When I came on, every board member had it. Mark had it, your father had it,
correct,
and Tom Deal. It was taken away at one point.
I didn't get insurance because I was.
No, I'm sorry, I know that you worked for the town.
Employee.
I'm sorry, but you were a board member at the time, and all the other board members had it. When we took it away from everybody, the deputy supervisor had it, and it was by resolution that we passed it. In a board meeting, just like today. No. Yes.
Donna Cobell, 74 Lake Ave. I just have a question. I thought a few years ago, there was something passed that people could not have or use RVs on property within the town. It had to have the wheels off or the tongue removed or something. And I noticed on 44 Bay, there's a RV set up for use. And I thought that we weren't supposed to do that. I'd just like to have the town check that maybe.
The legislation that had never been moved forward years ago.
It had never been. Okay,
We talked about.
We tried to, but yeah, it didn't.
okay. I'm just curious.
The plan didn't
I see
sound
your
so good.
Trailer there and I just curious. Okay.
Thanks.
Mike.
Yes, sir.
Al Wright. I want to discuss Sherman Road. I spoke to you and I know what you told me. But I want to know where we stand. You held a special meeting and there's nothing in the town board meeting records online showing that special meeting or what the meeting transcript showed, what the outcome was going to be. And the other thing is that the attorney, Mr. O'Connor, who was here, said he has requested twice copies of the transcript from that meeting so that he can file with the court to fight this thing.
He has a copy of the tape.
He said he never received it. I spoke to him yesterday.
Oh, yeah, Mary Ann Barber.
She picked it up for him.
Okay.
Yeah, Mary Ann stuff, I picked it up.
And the other thing is that you told me on the phone this week that the town does not own that road. That there was something back in 1987 when it was
Judge
discussed.
Krogman, right, yeah.
Okay, I was involved in that. I
Right.
started that whole thing.
Right.
And in 1987, after that was all decided, and Mr. Bennett was the supervisor, and Mr. Podburny was the highway superintendent, the town paid Jay's Trucking from Corinth to come in and rebuild that road to where the tree is painted with blue spray paint, because the road was in such disrepair.
And that road has been maintained on and off over the years by the town highway department when it was needed, when it was requested. Not every year, not for plowing or blacktopping or anything, just normal maintenance to keep it passable. If that's the case and that precedent was set, why is it now an issue?
Did you say, I missed the one point. Did you say that you were involved in the origination of this?
Back in
situation?
'87, yes.
Okay, and Supervisor Larry Bennett.
Yep.
And Pat Warney.
Yep.
Were involved in it.
Yep.
Do you know if there was any resolutions or anything at that time?
Well, there was a resolution that said
Or
that
was it just a,
at that
we'll
time,
take care of it?
yeah, well, sort of, yeah, we'll take care of it.
Okay, I'm just,
But it was, we don't own it, but we'll take care of
okay,
it. Right?
that's
It's,
what I,
it's not a town road, it's but going back through the county records, it was a Jeep trail, it was a stagecoach road, it was whatever. And if you look at a Google Street View map, it shows Sherman Road on that Google map to where that tree is painted with blue spray paint. It shows Sherman Road. The whole thing is that we used, and your attorney said something the night of that special meeting and asked every one of the residents that was here, or landowners, I'll say, not residents, landowners. How many years have you used that road? Has it ever been blocked? I've been here 37 years. Drew was there 47 years. Walt Burnham was down in there he was there when I bought my property. And everybody had access on that road. And I know that the family has family members here that can relay this information. Because that road has never been blocked, there's a thing in the state law that calls easement by necessity, where the landowner cannot block you from going to your property. It's right here, black and white from the state of New York. And I'm sure you know about it because you mentioned it, something about eminent domain or it would end up in court or whatever. The thing is, why should we suffer? I pay taxes to this town. We support this town locally. I eat at your restaurant. We buy in the Luzerne market. We stay local. We don't go to Glens Falls or Saratoga. We stay here when we're here. I'm retired. We want to spend time at our camp. I'm not going to walk in there. And if I do walk in there and something happens to my wife or she's got an autoimmune disease and I've had bypass surgery. If I need an ambulance, if we need a fire truck, if we need emergency services, that road is blocked and they can't get to us. Who's liable? Because everybody's going to get sued, I guarantee it. Not just the people who blocked the road, but the town too, for allowing it to happen. After that road not being blocked for
It's
all
really,
these years.
with all due respect, I think that's why it needs to end up in court. It's for someone to make a decision. We're not here to make that decision.
I understand
I mean,
that,
that's up to the courts to make that decision.
but it technically, according to the county who told me, and according to what's been going on over the years, it is a town road. A certain section and certain distance is a town road. And it goes to where that tree is painted blue. And that's the part that's been maintained for how many years? Ron knows. I want to know where we stand. I want to be
We
able
don't have
to
any
use my
use to
property.
take it into our camp. God only knows what's in
My
there.
children, my
Or their
grandchildren, nobody can use this property. I walked in last week to mow the lawn. Ridiculous. I shouldn't have to do that. I should have access to my property. I pay taxes.
I agree.
We wanted to take and winterize the place and live there this year. Can't do it.
Because somebody's being ignorant. And we had,
No, they're not being ignorant. They're being disrespectful to
Well,
the
whatever.
neighbors. Okay?
and her mother and father owned it and always gave us, they never bitched about us going in and out. Her mother was a Don.
Says right here, even if it isn't written down, a legal easement usually exists if it is absolutely necessary to cross someone's land for a legitimate purpose. The law grants people a right to access to their homes, for example. So if the only access to a piece of land is by crossing through a neighbor's property, the law recognizes an easement allowing access over the neighbor's land. This is called an easement by necessity. When the land is subject to such an easement, the landowner may not interfere with the neighbor's legal right.
And she's doing it.
That, you need to be in a court of law. This is where it needs to be settled.
Well,
I really, I feel for you, I do.
And the reason, well, I want to know where we go from here forward. What involvement is the town going to take?
We'll take what the court comes back to us with. We shouldn't be maintaining any roads to start with that aren't ours.
She's an attorney. You should write to her and tell her.
But how can it?
You want to, please.
Can David answer some of these questions?
Sure. The records from the mid-80s are very clear that former town attorney Dave Krogman did the research, and he actually advised the town board at that time that the road terminates, and the 0.24 is the loop, not straight. And what Mr. Krogman did at that time was recommend to the town board that they pass a resolution to take the road, widen it, and actually make it a road. The town never did that. In my discussions with Ron Newell, the current highway superintendent, asking him if he has any records of maintenance, he has none and does not maintain that road. Very sporadically does he go up there. Two types of legal access that you would have. The first would be a road by use by the town. You can't demonstrate that because there has been no maintenance of the road for a very long time. You actually have a former town attorney, David Krogman, who opined on this issue in the 80s and said the town has to do a certain procedures to take this road. And the town didn't do that. So the town essentially walked away from it at that time. Have you had access? Absolutely. No question. You can demonstrate that. I've had these discussions with your lawyer. Provision in the law that you're talking about, the necessity, even by necessity, is something that private property owners demonstrate in the Supreme Court against one another. And that's why your attorney requested the tape from the town to put together a lawsuit against the individual who is blocking your access. And that tape will be used, obviously, and the people who came in and testified or presented to the board that they've had access all these years and no one has been impeding their access will either be submitted through affidavit or it will come in and actually testify. But that's a private action that you would have to start, or that Mr. O'Connor is going to start, I believe, on behalf of Ms. Barber. And I think the other residents up there are going to join in the action. That's what I've been told by Mr. O'Connor. So at the end of the day, when you go to Supreme Court, the judge will make a decision. If you've had access all these years, he'll use that rule of law, use it by necessity, and say, from this point forward, you have access.
Yeah, but what do we do? I mean, you can't get in, I can't get in to clean.
And again, I've talked to you earlier about this as well. He can ask for temporary injunctive relief while the action is pending. When he files the action, he can also make a motion for a temporary restraining order to restrain the property owner from blocking your access. That can be asked for when you make the application to the court pending the full hearing. So those are conversations you have to have with your lawyer. Those are the two types of ways you would have access. Road by use under municipal law, which we don't have, or by necessity of private action.
Now, why now when we're in our 70s and retired?
The other
Who
thing,
does this?
the other thing I understand, and I'm sure it's got nothing to do with that, is that I understand that from one of the other people on the road, that they spoke to Mr. Hasty, who said that if the town wanted to take eminent domain of the road, they would unblock it and it could be used.
But no, I said we would not object to that. That's what I said. And first of all, where you're talking about where those trees are painted, that's in the middle of nowhere. How do you get to your property from there? If the county paid that, I know.
Folks, I don't want to get into this attacking one another. If you please just talk to the board.
I'm not attacking anyone.
No, I'm just saying, I don't.
I'm asking for a resolution.
I understand, and I'm giving you our options. We don't have a lot of options. We can do eminent domain if that's what the board's inclined to do. We would have to pay the property owners fair value for their property for that portion that we're taking. The alternative would be for you to have a private action in Supreme Court.
Which is fine with me.
Right, and those are the two.
I'd rather not go to court. I'd rather have good neighbors.
Well, I have read some communications that Mr. O'Connor has provided me from himself to the attorneys for the property owners that are blocking your access. And apparently they've offered some money for access and that's been refused. So I don't know what else to tell you other than if they're not gonna accept money for access, you have to compel it, use that money and go to Supreme Court.
But why now? After all these years, why is it blocked now?
It was blocked before.
No,
When?
it wasn't.
It-
It's
there was
never been,
precedent.
it's
Let's,
never been blocked.
Never.
Please.
Never.
Well, that's not true.
That is true.
Ask Pete Bowman.
Mr. Riley,
Mr. Riley?
have you spoken to Mr. O'Connor?
Yes, yesterday.
Anybody else like to address the board?
Let's go.
Jack, please.
Never been.
You're
You're
right.
lying.
It's
When was?
just into the mic. so
Tell
it's
me,
not
I've been here
right.
37 years, it's never been blocked.
John, I did the same thing last time. John Herring, Denver Drive.
Thank you.
A couple of meetings back, I think 3 or 4 or so, there was a gentleman here from the EMS squad who talked about a discrepancy with pay or whatever. He made a point that night about the salary that the medics get that work for our EMS. And I think he said it was the lowest in the county or one of the lowest. And he talked about his problem retaining qualified paramedics. And he also mentioned he was trying to scrape together to give them a 25 to 50 cent raise per hour. He tried to pay. I can't think of any other service that deserves more money in this town than the people that save our lives.
And I do believe, Jack, that during the resolution, we did vote to give them more money to give those guys a rate increase in pay.
As did happen, by the way.
Yeah, as well as happened.
How much?
Yeah,
Paramedics got a $1.25, EMTs got nothing. Our EMTs make less than people.
That's obviously a step in the right direction, but still, we're talking about $19 an hour.
We're losing, I didn't get into it during my report, Jack, but we're losing paramedics and EMTs left and right because our surrounding communities have all greater resources than we do or greater willingness to pay. I'm not saying that that's necessarily the case, but when our EMS director, Scott Stone, submitted budgets to the town, everything got stripped out of it and it was just the same thing every year. He was told, we have no money, you gotta keep it flat. We have no emergency fund for any equipment. We have a heart monitor that's nearing EOL, they call it end of life. There's no more support for it. And Pam, you can back me up on this, right? Barry, you know, he'll tell you.
My husband's an EMT for the town.
They're awesome and they work on austerity. So I pay more, and I'm sure a lot of you look at your tax bill, you pay more for your library before it went into its own tax district than you do for the people that are gonna come save your life when you dial 911, breathe it yourself or your loved one or your children. So put that into perspective for a minute.
I don't doubt any of that.
No, I'm not saying you, Jack.
But
I'm
it
just saying,
doesn't have to be that way.
does not.
I mean, we heard about the fire department. That's pathetic. These guys that donate the time they donate and do what they do have to stand in the freaking road and beg for money to support them. It's insane. This town has funds to change that.
Well,
It's
when
a
you,
matter of priority.
when the supervisors claim the legacies, he's never raised the taxes. That's more, in my opinion, that's more selfish than being proactive. Because there's gonna be a rainy day someday when, like when the ambulance got wrecked a couple of years ago, each town had to come up with, or I think $60,000, $70,000 a piece, and there was no money in the pocket for that.
I mean, I'm not taking fault with any of you guys. I mean, it's a societal thing, really. We've always kept the emergency services, first of all, we don't pay them, and then we make them on a shoestring budget. There's a rescue squad up on the Sacandaga that advertises in the Edinburgh newsletter for empty beer cans.
Yeah.
That's pathetic. And
it's not just our community, Jack.
No, it's not. But it doesn't mean we have to stay that.
That is correct.
What I'm asking you guys, if you did the $1.25, that's great, but let's keep it going and do it soon. I mean, we saw this very a couple months ago, how quickly they come, how confident they are, and we're not willing to give them more than $19 an hour. It's crazy. And the fire
In relation with the
department, they gotta
thousands of
come
hours of
through
training.
In the street to get equipment and
and pay their bills and stuff.
Just for them
It
to
shouldn't
take,
be that way.
just for them to take a paramedic course. Cost them, not us, cost them $20,000. Now, how long is it gonna take to recoup that $20,000?
Right.
I had 15 years on the squad. All volunteer.
And the EMTs as well. It's not just the medics. They're all important.
Right.
I don't know what their pay is.
Not enough.
And I'd just like to make one comment there. My husband, of course, is an EMT for Luzerne. He got off his shift this morning. There was a CPR response. He didn't get home until 8:45. My husband is the only one that lives here in town. He goes all the time with his own vehicle to calls. And he doesn't get paid for that, and he doesn't mind. But yes, he is very low paid.
You know, I didn't think I would ever find myself in a position where I say if my taxes went up, I would be happy. But when I look at what I pay for fire service and EMS service on my tax bill,
It's pretty minute.
minute's not, it's pennies for that. You know, and I don't think anybody couldn't afford a little bit more in their taxes, or however you want to fund it, to try to do something, to be the leader. You know, let's read in the paper, hey, Lake Luzerne did this for their EMS people, or whatever.
Appreciate it.
You know, I mean,
We're going into budget season, so.
and we never know, it could be, like I said, it happened in this room, you never know.
And they started working on their budget the other night at the meeting when I was there, and we actually did some forward thinking along the lines that you talked about, Jack, and they're gonna be putting some lines in there for an equipment fund and, you know, stuff like that they've never been able to do before, so.
The sooner the better.
Yeah.
And like I said, we can do it. I mean, it's just a matter of changing how we look at this stuff.
Right, yeah.
There's money for those kinds of things. We can find.
It's funny you say that though, because I'm taking some of the hostile responses that we got from the crowd regarding Mr. Molino, right? That's money that wasn't spent correctly, money that could have been saved if other avenues of procurement were followed. Excuse me, I'm talking.
Indicting it for everything.
I'm not indicting him, I'm just
Of
saying,
course you are.
how much money do you have put aside for?
Let's not go there.
Well, anyway, that's my request.
Electioneering.
We are, we're
And
going
I-
to budget season, I think.
I'm glad to see, I forget what the thing on the EMS committee or public.
But,
Maybe you guys can take the poll, Robinson, you know. I'd be willing to volunteer to do whatever. to try to get people-
Just so you know, we can go on there and we can relay information, Jack, from the fire company and EMS to us, you know, to the board, to the community. As individuals being on the town board, we cannot go on there and say, hey, you guys have to raise X amount of dollars. That's illegal. We cannot do it. It's conflict of interest. But we can go on there and if they come to us and say, you know, like the Board of Fire Commissioners, they say, hey, here's our budget. Are you sure that's what you guys need? And that's as far as we can go with it. And then we can bring it to the board and then to the community. But we cannot go on there and say, hey, you guys have to raise your EMS budget or your fire budget. We cannot do that. So just so you know, we're not trying to put off on the budget. We cannot do it.
And I think as Mike said earlier, we're doing that soft billing, if they get away with that soft billing.
one of the major things, we can't collect co-pays and deductibles. And this was our supervisor and the supervisor for Hadley that didn't, they handcuffed our billing company not to be able to do that. So that means you pay more, you pay more, you pay more, you pay more for money that should be coming as part of the process. We can't do it, but we're gonna look to change that. So
I
we can.
understand exactly what you're saying, but my point is, we can make it happen.
Oh, I agree wholeheartedly. It's just that, just so you know, when it comes down to it, we, myself and Mike, get involved with it, we cannot do that.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Anyone else have a comment? Taking a motion to adjourn?
Also.
No, I said.
Yes, I did.
Yes, I did. Yes.
Okay.
And that's, yes, I
All in
did.
favor?
Aye.
Aye.